Very good morning to all of you, my dear students of class 8 ABC. I hope you all will be very fine and happy. Will be safe also, along with your family members at your residence. And we pray to Almighty that we should soon get rid of this pandemic disease. And my dear students, we were reading history, and in history we are discussing about our second chapter. Very soon we are going to finish this chapter, and I have discussed you a lot of things about the Battle of Plassey, then the Battle of Buxar, then the subsidiary alliance policy. Okay, and the sultans. I have discussed this thing also about Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali. So now today we will discuss war with the Marathas. Okay. Now we would like to discuss, how British East India Company was able to control the Maratha power at that time. During 17th and 18th centuries, Maratha were on the top. As we all know that Shivaji was the main founder of Maratha Empire, and after him, many successors. Many brave and wise, confident successors comes. I mean, came on sitting on the throne of Maharashtra. Pune used to be their capital earlier, and but later on during 18th century, these Marathas were divided into several kind of some branches. Okay, several subdivisions, and then it was very easy for the East India Company to control this Maratha power. So war with the Marathas. From the late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroy Maratha power. With their defeat in Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas' dreamed of ruling from Delhi was shattered. Now we'll have to discuss another aspect. You do not know, my dear students, but an invader named Ahmad Shah Abdali, who came to our country, and he fought a battle. Actually, he came from Persia, okay, from Iran right now, and he fought a cruel battle with the Marathas on the battlefield of Panipat. This Panipat place is in Haryana, okay, right now, Delhi Haryana border. So Marathas were trying to control the throne of Delhi, okay, but this vision was shattered by Ahmad Shah Abdali, and in the Battle of Panipat, in the third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas were badly defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, so the Marathas' dreamed of ruling from Delhi was shattered. They were divided into many states under different chiefs. Again, I say they were divided into many sub branches, okay, belonging to the dynasties such as Sindhyas, Holkar, Gaikwad, and Bhosle. Now, among Sindhyas were located in Gwalior. Holkar, Holkar were established in Indore. Then Gaikwad somewhere in where it will be. I'm not all sure. We'll see later on. And Bhosle were mainly from Pune. Okay. The Nagpur. Gaikwad were of Pune and Bhosle were of Nagpur. The chiefs were held together in confederation under a Peshwa. Okay, so the chiefs were, were in kind of agreement or a kind of bondage with a under a Peshwa. Peshwa was main responsible person to protect the Maratha power. Peshwa was just like prime minister. Okay, the main responsible acting body of Marathan dynasty, principal minister, prime minister. Okay, who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. Okay, Mahatji Sindhya and Nana Fadnavis. Okay, Nana Pandis, it is written in English, but in Hindi it is called Nana Fadnavis, were two famous Marathas soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. Mahatji Sindhya and Nana Fadnavis, Fadnis were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. Okay. The Marathas were subdued in the series of wars. Now we little bit things that I told you about Marathas. Now I further move, and the Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. Okay, in the first war that ended in 1782, the first Anglo-Maratha war that ended in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbai. Underline this one. With the Treaty of Salbai, there was no clear victor. Neither East India Company nor Marathan power could able to win that battle. The second Anglo-Maratha War that was fought in the year 1803 to 1805 was fought on different fronts, okay, resulting in the British gaining Odisha and the territories north of the Yamuna River, including Agra and Delhi. So, the second battle that was actually won by British East India Company, and in that battle, the British got, what did they got? They got Odisha, current Odisha, and the territories north to Yamuna, including Agra and Delhi. Okay. Finally, the Third Anglo-Maratha War was in 1817 to 1819. Crushed Maratha power. The Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur with a pension. Now, the Third Maratha war was fought in the year 1817 to 1819, and again in that war, the Marathas were badly defeated, and the post of Peshwa was dissolved, and the contemporary Peshwa was sent to Bithur. Bithur is a place near Kanpur with a pension. Okay, and pension was awarded to him. The company now had complete control over the territories south of the Vindhs. Okay, Vindh is a mountain range. Now, I'll tell you on the map that from where to where Vindh mountain range has been found. But at that time, the Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur with a pension. The company now had complete control over the territories south to the Vindhyas. The claim of paramountcy. The claim of paramountcy. We are now going to discuss this heading. It is clear from the above that from the from the early 19th century, the company pursued an aggressive policy on territorial expansion. Now, in the early 19th century means 1810, 1820, 1830s. Okay, in these years, the company adopted an aggressive policy, okay, for territorial expansion under under Lord Hastings, Governor General from 1813 to 1823. A new policy of paramountcy was in, entitled. Now underline this one. The policy of paramountcy. Now the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme. Okay, hence its power was greater than other of the Indian states. In order to protect its interests, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. Okay. Now, what was this policy of paramountcy? According to the policy of paramountcy, all the Indian states, okay, were now under control of British government, and British East India Company The ruling of British East India Company was supreme in nature, and for the protection of any state, this East India Company could attack on any Indian states at that time. So this was the policy of paramountcy. Hence, its power was greater than the other Indian state. In order to protect its interests, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. This view continued to guide later British policies as well. This process, however, did not unchallenged. For example, when the British tried to annex the small state in Kittur means in Karnataka today, okay? Rani Chennamma took to arms and led an anti-British resistance movement, okay? So in the when in Kittur is a famous place in Karnataka. So when British East India Company, on the basis of this paramountcy, on the claim of paramountcy, when British East India Company tried to control Kittur, then Rani Chennamma, the contemporary queen of that empire, revolted against British East India Company, and he led a very violent resistance movement. She was arrested in 1824 and died in the prison in 1829. She was arrested in 1824 and passed away in 1829 in the jail. But Rayanna, a poor chowkidar of Shangoli in Kittur, okay, but Rayanna, a poor chowkidar means a person who who moves in the whole village, and he is a kind of protector of the village, okay. A poor chowkidar of Shangoli is in a village in Karnataka. Shangoli in Kittur district carried on resistance. This British East India Company movement was was carried being governed by Rayanna. With popular support, he destroyed many British camps and records. He was caught and hanged by the Britishers in 1830. With the popular support, he destroyed a lot of Britishers' documents, and ultimately he was captured, he was caught, and given the capital punishment in the year 1830. You will read more about the several cases of resistance later in this book. Okay. In the late 1830s, the East India Company became worried about Russia. Now, an international issue came. Let's see what is the issue is. In the 1830s, the East India Company became worried about Russia. It imagined that Russia might expand across Asia and enter India from the northwest. Okay, driven by this fear, the British now wanted to secure their control over the northwest. They fought a prolonged war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule there. Sindh was taken over in 1843. There, 1840. Next in this line was Punjab, but the presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh held back the company. After his death in 1839, two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. Ultimately, in 1849, Punjab was annexed. So, in this particular paragraph, what has been told to us, that we came to know about the policy of Britishers in the late 1830s, and what was the policy of Britishers. They were very much afraid about Russia, because it was thought that now Russia will come, from Europe. It will expand its area in Asia, and through Afghanistan route it will enter into India also. So now the Britishers were got little bit worried. So what did they do? They tried to control this one, Afghanistan. They tried to control Afghanistan. They fought two cruel wars with Afghani people, but ultimately they were able to control Afghanistan. Okay, and later on they also tried to control Lahore also, and Punjab also, but a famous Sikh ruler named Maharaja Ranjit Singh was available at that time, and due to him the Britishers could not move into Punjab. Okay, but ultimately after the death of in 1839, after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, this place was conquered. Okay, so these are some important policy. I mean, subsidiary alliance, then the doctrine of paramountcy, then now we come to the doctrine of lapse also. Okay, this is also very much important for you people. The final wave of annexations occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. Now, the last stream of this revolt, okay, worked under the headship of Lord Dalhousie. Okay, the final wave of annexation occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. He devised a policy that came to be known as Doctrine of Lapse. Now the question will come, who introduced the policy of the Doctrine of Lapse? So the answer will be Lord Dalhousie was the capital of the Lord Dalhousie was the Governor General who introduced the policy of the doctrine of lapse. The doctrine means a kind of agreement, okay? The treaty. The doctrine declared that an Indian ruler would lapse, that is became part of company territory, okay? Now the question is that what do you mean by doctrine of lapse? Then the answer, what will be the answer? The answer will be the doctrine declared that an Indian ruler died without a male heir. Here is his kingdom. Doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse. Okay, if according to this doctrine, if a particular Indian king dies without any baby, I mean without any successor of his throne, then his whole kingdom was going to be lapsed by British East India Company. That is become part of company territories, and that area will become the that dynasty or that ruling area will become the part of British East India Company. Okay. One kingdom after another was annexed by simply by applying this doctrine. Satara, underline these states. Satara in Maharashtra 1848, Sambalpur, Odisha possibly, I'm not all sure, but possibly in Odisha 1850. Then Udaipur, Rajasthan 1852, Nagpur, Maharashtra 1851, 1853, and then finally the Jhansi in 1848. These places were won by the criminals, won by the Britishers due to the doctrine of lapse. Okay, so so this is the doctrine of lapse. I mean, in which if you were not able to know, I mean, a king died, king passes away without his heir, then that area was to be taken under the control of British East India Company. And due to this policy, Lord Dalhousie was able to control various kind of local states like Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur, and Jhansi. So I think you will able to understand, and if you won't able to find out anything, then please ask it to me in Google e-classroom. I'll explain it also. Now that is sufficient for today. The homework for you is the homework for you is for you people is question number 1. Write a short note on Maratha power. Write a short note on Maratha power. Okay. Question number 2. Question number 2. How did British East India Company control Maratha power? How did British East India Company control Maratha power? Question number 3. What do you mean by the claim of paramountcy? What do you mean by the claim of paramountcy? And the last question, the last question. What do you know about the doctrine of lapse? What do you know about the doctrine of lapse? So these are 4 questions. Write down these questions and show it to me in Google e-classroom. Soon submit it to me, please. Be safe inside your house, and we'll meet soon. Thanks for joining me.